Every month, gameranx puts together the weirdest stuff that's happened in the world of games. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, let's do just that. It's the weirdest gaming stories of February 2022. Starting off with number 10. So this isn't what I would call strange. It's more weird for people who remember when most 3D games would not even make it to 30 frames per second. So a big breakthrough in monitor technology has caused BOE, a company that makes them, to create a 500 plus hertz refresh rate 27-inch monitor. The question I have seen most people ask in response to this news is, do eyes even see that? And if I'm completely honest, I don't know. Right now, gaming monitors top out around 360 hertz in terms of the refresh rate. So if you put out 360 frames per second, you'd be able to see every frame on that monitor. I do not know, A, if there is a machine that can put out HD and 500 frames per second on a modern game, or if you can even see that. Genuinely, I have no idea. But I'll tell you this, that is badass. That's the kind of stuff where you're just like, wow, we're there. Like, look at the frame rate on, like, the original Tomb Raider games. It's pretty stable on the PlayStation, but you played that game on the PC, it looked like crap. Of course, you can use patches to run it with a pretty good frame rate nowadays, and that's cool and all. It's hard for me to imagine what 500 frames per second looks like, or what benefit it even brings over like 360. But here we are. At number 9, I don't know if you remember this guy who hacked Nintendo. He's basically the head of a team called Executor who sold mod chips to various Nintendo products, and he got arrested back in 2020, where he was hit with 11 felony counts of money laundering and wire fraud. And while he didn't get the entire amount of time in jail he was supposed to, he is going to jail. His name? Bowser. His name was Gary Bowser. I think we talked about this before, actually, back when it happened, but it just feels like, duh, of course Nintendo, who is represented by the plumber always fighting Bowser, is going to send a guy named Bowser who is hacking their hardware to prison. And yeah, I know it's not Nintendo actually doing it. Whole thing's weird, honestly. The real life villain to Nintendo is Bowser? Okay. At number 8, a gamer with Crohn's disease who was diagnosed very late at like age 10 and had to go through multiple invasive surgeries regarding it. And he was basically in the hospital for the next several years. For his 14th birthday, he asked for a gaming laptop, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation actually got him a pretty beefy Alienware one. And while the surgery definitely is what saved his life, it really helped this kid come back from like what was a very dark time in his life. And while I understand this isn't like super weird or anything, keep in mind, we see stories on a daily basis about weird streamer drama, awful monetization practices, stuff that's just over the top, either weird or bad. So to just see something nice every once in a while is a good kind of weird, you know? At number 7, a company called Thanco, which you've probably heard of. We've, I think, even talked about them before, invented a new, well, I don't know what to categorize this as. Maybe a gamer device, I guess. It's basically a cushion that allows you to play games on either your phone or your Nintendo Switch or whatever, face down looking at the floor. Honestly, probably not horrifically bad for your posture. But when you look at these pictures of these people using this thing, it looks absolutely absurd. It is not something that I would have guessed would be a thing. I think probably the strangest thing, though, is that I can kind of like get it. Like, this is a company that's put out a lot of very strange products, but I could actually see this being something people actually want and use. I mean, think of how much better that is for your back than basically any chair. I don't know. At number 6, the world's best Guitar Hero player was found out to be cheating. Now, as much as I like Guitar Hero, this does indeed make a case for actual regular guitars. It's kind of hard to cheat on them. And if you do cheat on them, if like you play a guitar with auto-tune or something, that's technically like an innovation as opposed to just like pretending to be good at pressing buttons in a certain order. Sucks. because Guitar Hero is literally pattern remembering or being able to handle reading a pattern very quickly on a rhythm, and it's more or less like coursework or a routine than creating music. There was a lot of analysis that was done that found this gentleman, who was widely regarded as the absolute best Guitar Hero player in the world by many, he was found to have been cheating for years, literally years, and that most of his accomplishments were not real. And number 5, we gotta talk about Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. Now, there are a lot of weird things about this. Probably the weirdest to me is that Activision Blizzard owns Crash Bandicoot. And while Crash Bandicoot was never officially the Sony mascot, that just comes out very, very weird, to me at least. But what's even weirder is that despite all of the acquisitions that Microsoft has done lately, which have been big, like between Activision Blizzard and Bethesda, these are big ones. And they're still the 3rd largest gaming company by revenue behind Tencent and Sony. That's bizarre, but it also kind of makes sense. Microsoft is a little bit more open and allows people to make money off of their platforms in ways that a mobile app developer or Sony probably wouldn't, but still bizarre to think about. In terms of how big Microsoft is, though, they're much bigger than that, like as an overall company. So don't worry about them. They're not losing per se. And number 4, a developer creating a game called Titan Reach had to cancel their MMO because when they made all this money, instead of putting it into the game, they misappropriated the funds and failed at investing in cryptocurrency and also just purchased a Tesla. I mean, on one hand, that's hilarious. On the other, if you invested in a video game that you had hoped to one day play and you found out that the guy who took your money just, gambled it on the crypto market and bought a card, that'd make me mad. I will obviously say this one's weird, but I guess what makes it weird is that this actually isn't a thing that happens with like the vast majority of random no-name game projects that get money. I mean, if you think about it, absolutely every single Kickstarter / Indiegogo / whatever project, it's all a huge risk. It's weird that they don't all end like this. At number 3, Henry Cavill went to Warhammer World, and I don't mean he went to do like a panel or a meet and greet. He just went there. Like, obviously, this guy knows he's gonna get mobbed by a bunch of people who want to take pictures with him and praise him for every single thing that he's done. And that's what happened. Probably wasn't the worst experience for him, but also, you can't be Henry Cavill and just go to a convention and do the convention. Probably fun for some reasons, and probably a lot at the same time. Still, it's cool that he goes out and does stuff like that. Good for him. At number 2, Agony Unrated just disappeared from a bunch of players' Steam libraries. Now, when I played Agony, it was pretty boring, and that was the end of me paying attention to it. But a lot of stuff has happened, apparently, since then. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say the fact that Agony Unrated, an adults-only version of Agony, yes, the implication here is exactly what they did, is kind of admitting that the original version of the game is too boring, so make it for horny people. It apparently worked because by making it a free add-on if you bought the original Agony, I assume that their company is still afloat due to the fact that this stuff is still going on. And I know some people are going to say, well, why are you dunking on this game so much? Did you play the original Agony without the horny stuff in it? Anyway, Agony Unrated was originally canceled due to technical and legal reasons, and then just appeared on Steam one day. So for everybody who got Agony Unrated for free because they owned the original Agony, it disappeared the other day. And I guess this is kind of just all weird because Agony Unrated exists. Hey, sorry we made a boring hell game. Here's some titties. And number 1, I guess Cyberpunk caught on to the same idea. So there's a big update for Cyberpunk where they're like, hey, remember all that stuff that went wrong with Cyberpunk? Here's some titties. Why is this what's happening? Yeah, so you know how in RPGs, romance is often a very big aspect of the game? Now in Cyberpunk, the people you're romancing may just send you nude photos. I feel like this and the previous point really work together to show something extremely weird happening in video games. Developers who messed up trying to put a band-aid over those problems that has boobs printed on it. You know how kids used to get like cartoons printed on their band-aid, like you get SpongeBob band-aids? upgrades. Now it's boobs. In the video game world, anyway. What is this? Do they think that this is, well, maybe it is gonna make a certain segment of the audience forget about all the bugs in the game, but I don't think it's gonna work on most people. Now, while Cyberpunk isn't nearly as buggy as it was when it first came out, it's still not a perfect game. So this update better have a bunch of like mechanical fixes, because if all they did was make it so people send you nude pics, that's brazen. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on Gameranx.